On YouTube, this is 3zinferno. So, had a viewer on my 100th video ask me to talk about some trading tips, and I thought that'd be interesting because I am pretty good at trading. One of my friends actually called me an orca whale because whales eat sharks. He's like, "You're not a shark, dude. You're a whale," because whales eat sharks. That's pretty funny to me. But I can agree with that sometimes. Even like sometimes I can trade with some of the hardest to deal with people, and I still come away with a plus. And my friend always asks me, "Dude, how'd you do that?" Like, I can't get anything off him. So here's some. I'm gonna give you guys some tips on how to trade with people. Firstly, my first tip is trade with everybody. Don't look at them like they're a little kid and be like, he's got nothing, or look at his binder and be like, no, that's like a trashy binder. Like, it looks trashy. It's all breaking, like falling apart and stuff. I don't want to trade with him, or he doesn't look like he's worth to trade with. That's not always. Sometimes that is true, but that's not always the case. What happens is, one time I remember, I found this kid. He was like 14, 15, whatever. And then I was like, "Hey, you want to trade?" He's like, "Okay." And because like he was just sitting there, and no one really like walked up to him, even though there was a lot of people. So I started looking through his binder, and it was pretty garbage. Most of it was pretty like not so good. And then I saw this foil Book of Moon in there, CP01. I took it out. I was like, "Can I see this?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like, it's mint, perfect condition, and like in a sleeve and everything. I was like, "What do you value this at?" He's like, "Oh, like $5, $10." I was like, "Okay." And then I ended up trading with a first ed, Secret Goblin Zombie for it. It was like back when, right after Phantom Darkness came out. So that Goblin Zombie was still worth like $20, but CP Book of Moon, I was like, wow, he gave me that for like a Goblin Zombie. See, the one thing was, people avoid little kids because they think, oh, it just don't waste my time, it doesn't have anything. And, I look really carefully at stuff. Even if someone traded with him, maybe he saw that Book of Moon, but didn't think it was hollow. He's like, "There's no way this is hollow," and he just keep going and flipping the pages and stuff. Like, you flip through it so fast because you just assume it's nothing. But never assume that. Little kids can have some good stuff. They can even, because they pull things out of booster packs too. Unlike just like some of us. So it's not like they can't have anything good. So you always want to talk to everybody. I'm not just saying little kids, but even people like that look like they don't have good binders or something like that, or they don't have a monster binder. So yeah, some of my friends actually say that, like, if they don't have a monster binder, I don't trade with them. I'm like, well, that's actually not necessarily true, because you might have to deal with people who are harder to trade with because they have monster binders, because they think they're so good, and blah blah blah, things like that. So my first tip, and it's a good one, and people should really do this more: trade with everybody. You never know. You might even find some good commons, like, what if they have Dragged Down to the Graves in their binder, and okay, like, you didn't look at it because you're like, oh, it's all commons, whatever, I don't want to look. Okay, so that's a good first tip. Don't judge a book by its cover, I guess. Trade with everybody. The second way to deal with people, let's say you're trying to trade with someone who really knows their prices. It doesn't matter. Let's say you ask for a Levier. It sounds overpriced. They're like $40 for ulti. I'm like, okay, it's a little overpriced. Don't shut your mind off from them right away. Continue. What I like to do is every card that has value to me, I ask. Because sometimes they might slip up, or they might not know that card. For instance, at YCS or SJC LA, whatever, YCS, the first YCS, I played the French guy, Vincent Trouble, I can't say his name, I'm sorry, I butchered it, whatever it is. Vincent, the guy who topped the last SJC with Light Swing with Triple Tragodia. I played him and I beat him round 3, and then I went to trade with him after. He was like, "Oh, I don't like you." No, he was just joking. He was just like, "You beat me." I was like, you want to trade? He's like, alright. And then he had some French stuff. It was pretty cool. And I was asking him all his prices, and they were pretty high, like, considering. I was like, alright. And then I was just like, it was English, first ed, secret dad in there. I was like, oh, how much is this? He's like, 40. And I was like, 40. I was like, that's really low for our standards back then. So I was like, okay, what do you need from me? He's like, a Christia. And I was like, okay. I valued it like 60. He's like, okay. And then we ended up, he gave me, since I was playing Black Wings, he gave me a French set of Sirocco, Shura, Kalut, and Bora. And the first Dead Secret Dad for a Christia. And that was a really plus trade because he valued each of those commons at $5. Well, supposedly, he said $5 each. Maybe for a set. But it doesn't matter because people were trading like ridiculous amounts of stuff to get just commons of his French things. But I got 4 sets of French commons and the first Dead Secret Dark Arm for that Christia. That was before Christia got any good, but I still didn't like it that much anyway. But that was a really good trade for me because even though everything was overpriced in his binder, I asked about every single card, and you'll probably find something that the price seems right to you and that you'll be able to trade for. Also, it's okay that you don't plus in your trades all the time. That's my third tip. You don't always have to plus in order to trade. What I mean by that is you can always trade card for card or 2 cards for 2 cards that are worth equal value. You don't always have to gain in a trade monetarily, but you can always trade for things that are better. For example, a playset of Ultimate DD Survivors would be like 25, 30, let's say $30. Okay? And a Leviair is $30. Would you trade an Ultimate set of DD Survivors for a Leviair? I would. If it was $30 because Leviair is way more playable and it's easier to get rid of. But DD Survivors ulti are hard to get rid of. It's not always easy to find someone who wants an Ultimate DD Survivor. So that's what I really think about even trades. And that's also called trading up because you're trading 3 smaller cards for one bigger card. Okay, so that might make more sense. But let's say I trade. This is a little more experience for me because I've been from NorCal and SoCal. Let's say I have. Okay, I remember when Greffers used to be really cheap in NorCal. I could get them at like $10, and then I go back to SoCal and they were worth $20. So, knowing that, I would trade $10 worth of stuff. Like even if it looked bad for me, like let's say I would trade like a Stardust. Let's say back then Stardust was, let's say, $10. I traded that for a Dark Greffer. And people are like, why would you trade a Stardust for a Dark Greffer that you're not going to use? Well, it's even 10 for 10, but I know that when I go to SoCal, I can get rid of it for 20, even 15. That's still a $5 plus. So it's just even trades are all okay still, as long as you can change up your binder. Let's say I have. This is hard to just think off the top of my head. Let's say I have a Natura Beast that's been in my binder for like 3 months, okay? And I can't get rid of it. Like, no one wants it for $20. But then someone walks up to me and be like, hey, I need that Natura Beast. I'm like, okay, what do you have? And I look through his binder and it's like, whatever. Like, I don't see anything I need or anything that I really want to trade. But then it's like, there's an Ultimate DD Crow in there. I was like, what do you value Ultimate DD Crow? It's like $20. So I'm like, so you might as well trade for that Ultimate DD Crow because if it's really worth $20, then you might as well change up your binder because you haven't gotten rid of that Natura Beast in such a long time anyway. You might as well change up your binder so that maybe that Ultimate DD Crow, someone really wants it and you can push it for higher. Maybe you can push it for $25. So I would do the trade. I would just be like, that's fine. Let's do it for the Ultimate DD Crow. So those are my 3 things. Number 1, even trades they're okay. Don't worry about it. As long as it's the right situation. And I don't remember what I told you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Number 2, trade with everyone. Don't judge a book by its cover because you never know what they have or might have, and you know, because I never did, and it always works out in my favor. And number 3, ask every single card in that person's binder that you think has value, because you never know, they might not know that value, they might slip up a little bit, something like that, etc., etc. So always go through every value. Alright, so those are 3 trading tips that I hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys get better and become sharks, I guess. Alright, thanks guys. 3zinferno signing out.